Whew. Hello everybody and welcome to Final Fantasy 15. The next playthrough I'm going to be doing on this channel. Don't pay attention to the mouse. I don't know if you guys can see it or not. So this is the JRPG that came out in 2016. And if you're worried about the Final Fantasy 15 part, Final Fantasy is a series that is not a linear story. So even though it's the 15th one in the series, you don't have to know anything about any other Final Fantasies to pretty much understand the whole game. So you got that going for you. So good. Second of all, this is actually going to be a bit of a warm up. I'll get to it in just a sec. Hold on. So this is what I was talking about. This is got a really complicated battle system to it. So I feel like this tutorial is probably what we're going to go first. I'll go ahead and see you guys on the other side of this loading screen. That didn't take nearly as long as I thought it would. Alright, so this game, as I just said, has an incredibly complicated battle system. So we'll go ahead and show you guys what it is. That way we don't have to have this take up the entirety of the first episode, so you guys just know. So this will kind of be an episode 0. No story progress will be made. Whew. So you have your basic bitch combos, and by that I mean you hold down a button. That's for your main attack. You hold R1, or your left bumper, it would be. I'm using a PlayStation controller, so I'm just going to keep using it. Even though I'm playing this on PC, I'm just going to use whatever I recognize as the button I'm using. So you hold R1 to lock onto your enemy. And now you can practice defending. Whenever you hold L1, you don't have to lock on to defend, but you will phase through attacks when they come towards you, just like that. It's pretty simple. And he agrees us, or says we're amazing for holding a button down. So phasing, you can't attack while you're phasing, but it does have its uses. Don't take it as useless. You can move while phasing, or while defending, being prepared to phase. See, it's pretty simple. And so now we get to learn how to strike. So, as I just said, hold R1 to attack, and lock onto the enemy, and you press square button for me is your attack button. Now, one thing to mention real quick is this game has multiple different control setups you can use. Where is it at? It's here somewhere. I passed it. There it is. Type 1, Type A, Type B, and Type C. For me, I think Type B is better, but I go over which every single one of these they say, and you pick one that you think is best for you. I just like Type B over Type A or Type C, so that's what I'm doing. You hold B, you hold square, and as long as you're holding down square, you will constantly do a combo. I got a critical hit there. Random critical hit chances. You can do blindside damage, meaning if you hit somebody when they're not facing the direction, we'll do 50% more damage. It's really not something to be fishing for most of the time, though, honestly. It's not that big of a deal. So, parrying. Whenever a person comes up for a strong attack, you can press L1 at the perfect moment it tells you to, and you will be able to hold and then parry the attack. You can actually just hold L1 when it tells you to. I was mid-attacking there because I accidentally pressed the square button, so let's try that again. So even though you don't have to press it and time it perfectly, as long as I'm holding it, I can still get it. And then as long as the time slows down, you can press square and it will be able to attack again. Or get the riposte from the parry. Parrying is something really good because normally, later in the game, these attacks become so strong they can just straight up one-shot you. So it's always best to try and get block and parry attacks as many as you can. So, like you just said, be prepared to defend at all times, because you're going to need to. This Final Fantasy 15's battle system is completely different from every other Final Fantasy that's been released so far. Almost all of them have been, actually, I think all of them have been turn-based except for Final Fantasy 15. I don't know that for sure, but now he wants us to use everything we just learned to beat Gladiolus, who's the guy who's here fighting. It's not too difficult. You just gotta pretty much just hold square and parry when it tells you to. As long as you're attacking him constantly, he will almost never attack you. Don't worry about the floating, we'll get into that later. Yeah, see, I knocked him down before he could even do his next really strong attack. Alright, that's section 1. That's the basic, most baseline everything you can possibly learn. That's really all you're going to need to know to get started for the first, like, few fights of the game. But we're going to start the next tutorial, which is warping and MP, or magic. So the character we're playing as has the ability to use warping, and that's actually what your phase is you warping out of attacks. But it's pretty easy, but it's way more useful than people give it credit for, in my opinion. Honestly, people don't do this enough. But if you press circle while not locked on, you will just blade warp to one point to the other. If you do lock on to somebody, though, and my controller won't let me move the camera. Okay. Now if we're locked on, we can press circle, if it'll let me, to warp, and instead of point warping, we will warp strike. The farther away you are from your opponent, the more damage you're going to do with your warp strike, so it's something to keep in mind. And now, periodically throughout battlefields, you can find, like this one up here, you can hold circle and you'll point warp to this. And now with dangling up here, he obviously can't reach us. Plus also, whenever you point warp to one place to another, you will automatically regain all of your magic points at once. You can see your magic points in the bottom right hand corner of the screen. It's that blue bar where it says MP is 81. And then from here we can warp strike again. Pretty easy. And so your MP, when you're using warping and phasing as well, from dodging attacks, will also gain deplete your MP. It will go down and down. And if you run out of MP, you'll enter stasis, and it will take a very long time before you start getting any magic points back, and it's definitely something you want to avoid. So what you can do is you can get around to cover, hold L1, and you will start recovering magic very, very quickly. You'll recover health very quickly too, but that's not important right now because our health is at full. Pretty easy. So now he's going to teach us about... We gotta defeat him with warp strikes alone. It's pretty easy. He's got a warp strike, warp strike, warp strike, and now we're in stasis. So even though we're in stasis, we can't warp anymore, but we can still point warp to get all of our MP back again. We're gonna do it again. And now if you try to use any of your MP while you're in stasis, that's what happens. It just won't let you do anything. But we can still point warp and get all of our magic back, so we're gonna go right back to point warping. And as I said, the farther away you are, more damage your warp strikes will do. It's pretty easy to get into all of this. It's not too difficult. Next, he's going to teach us about resistances. Now, in my opinion, resistances isn't really something that you really need to be exploiting. Resistances are more if you're way out of your league in a fight and you really need to find a way to win. So if we try to attack him, you notice the numbers, they're way lower and they're also purple now. I'm going to keep trying to attack him. And even though it is doing damage, it's doing a very small amount compared to the hundreds we were doing before. So now, there's multiple different weapons you can use in this game. And each one has a different effectiveness towards opponents, and it's different between opponents. So he has access right now to greatsword and daggers. There's more than just these, but we'll start with just these. So I'm using a broadsword. We're going to switch to daggers, and I got hit. But as you've seen there, when I hit him, the numbers are now orange, meaning they do more damage. We're going to dodge there. And then we have the greatsword, which just does neutral damage. You know that because the numbers are white. So it's honestly pretty easy to use that. You have daggers. Daggers do... We'll get to that in a second. Daggers do really quick attacks. Broadswords are kind of your middleman, and then your one-handed weapons are really slow but hard-hitting. And so now he told us we can pause and go to our gear, and he gave us a lance or a javelin that we can use. So using your D-pad, you can switch between 4 weapons you can have equipped at one time. And we're going to equip the javelin to the bottom. And this time we click bottom of the D-pad, we have the javelin equipped. The javelin is kind of your get in really quick to do damage. And this one also has increased damage. So the numbers are red and orange now. So those are the ones that will matter. Keep one of every weapon type on at all times, and you can use it to kind of switch between what you think would be the most effective weapon to be using against your opponent. So now we have magic, and we equip it just like any other weapon, and we won't let us do it until we can pause the game. Come on, man. So magic in my opinion, in this game, is incredibly busted. You do way more damage with magic than you should really be able to, at least if you're using it correctly. So with spellcasting, we can equip it just like any other weapon, and then when we lock onto an enemy and use it, the spell gets used. And you see that, it already did half its health, and that's like a minimal amount. Fire will do damage to your opponent over time, periodically. Ice will slow down your opponent, and lightning, I forget what lightning's special ability is, but you can also prime your spell and release it whenever you're actually ready to use it. So I can't do that. You can't warp strike while you have a spell equipped though. You can't warp at all. Well, you can dodge, but you can't. That's all you can do with it. And he gave us some ice energy so we can show us how to make spells. So if we try to use fire this time, it won't work. And now he's going to be weak to ice, but now we have to figure it out. But I mean, he just gave us the ability to make ice spells. Is kind of obvious. So we'll go down here to Elemency and click on that. We have 3 magic flasks that we can use, and one of them is equipped with fire right now, so we'll leave that there. We can go to a new one, and you see we have fire, lightning, and ice energy. We can combine the 3 to make more powerful spells, but for now all we have is ice. So we press R1 to get as much ice as we can use. And we can use a catalyst. We'll get to that later. But it'll tell you what we're going to get on the bottom of the screen, where we're going to get Blizzard times 3, and it means we're going to have 3 uses of it, and it does 15 potency, meaning that's kind of how much damage it's going to do. Not 15 damage, but you get what I mean. That's about how powerful it is compared to everything else. So we're just going to equip it and immediately replace it over fire, because I know fire is no longer useful. And just like any other spell, we can prime it and suck it. Ooh. Great sword? Nope. Show javelin. Okay, well it must be daggers then. Bad one to de-equip then. We'll get rid of the two-handed sword for the daggers. There we go, yep. We're definitely doing more damage now. Whoop strike. And he hit us again. Get used to dodging, because I really hate dodging. The game really makes it necessary though. Whenever you use a spell, even if you switch to a different one, you have a cooldown timer before you can use another spell. So you can't just crank out 7 spells in a row, because trust me, if you could, every single boss in this entire game would be a joke. So next one is teamwork, so we will begin that tutorial as well. I promise you all this is important to know. Hello Gladiolus, again.
You rang?
So this time we have Prompto to come and help us out. So now, whenever you have partners with you, which is pretty much for the entire game, they will always attack by themselves. You don't control them, they just attack themselves automatically. And if you use certain strong attacks while they're close to you, you'll do link strikes, which just do more damage moves. Okay, it's weak to that. Okay, he's invulnerable to javelin. That's interesting. He's not invulnerable to this though. I believe it's if you do a warp strike with an opponent nearby, you do a link strike. Link strikes aren't really something you should be fishing for ever, though. So if we hold on R2, we can see what teammate abilities we have right now. And right now, Prompto has Piercer, so we're going to use it. We call him to attack and use it as Piercer, which is his special ability. Any single time an opponent or your teammate uses one of their attacking abilities, you can press square to follow up with the attack. You'll warp to your teammate, and then you'll immediately warp to your opponent to attack him again. Or to follow up with the attack. It's not, I believe this time it's just going to be, oh yeah, danger. So now, whenever you lose all of your health bar, you can see in the bottom right hand corner, it says danger. And the gray meter is slowly going down. And once we're in danger, that meter will keep constantly going down. There's one way to get out of danger, is to wait for your teammate to come and help you, and they'll get out of it. Now, you notice how we have a white meter and a gray meter, and the rest of it's blacked out? We have a health that we currently have, and then our max HP, which can be lowered temporarily. And we can recover it with items, but if your max HP, not your normal HP, but your max HP reaches 0, that's when it's game over. So if your friends fall in a state of danger, you can also go right over to them, and then press L1, and you'll take them out of danger as well. Oh, I was about to just fuck his shit up, but we can't do that. So, like he said, when recovering from danger, it does not restore maximum HP. Maximum HP will go up very, very slowly outside of battle. So you can see it's going up right now. or we can just use an item to do it. So if we press triangle at any time, which I think is kind of stupid, it will just freeze time, and you can use an elixir. An elixir will fully restore your HP and MP, and you will also recover half of your maximum HP, so when you use it on Noctis, fully heals our HP. And we can use another one on Prompto, and it will fully restore his HP as well as his max HP. Well, half of it, but it was still above half, so that's elixirs. Give them their credit because they earned it. They're incredibly useful items, and I recommend you use it. Also, whenever you use an elixir or a potion to heal your teammate, whenever you do that, it will also take them out of danger, so you don't have to run up to them and press L1 if you don't need to. And so now with the help of Prompto, we gotta fight this guy. And he gave us more magic, but I don't care about using magic too much. Mostly because, like I said, it's really broken. Come on. Oh, I was expecting him to try and block. Alright, let's get the Piercer in. That'll probably just down him right there. Nope, follow up. Now he's dead. Oh, he got me hard. He's done. I took a bit of a beating there. Whew. And that's all the tutorials in the game. Now there's one more thing in the lore guide. So this game is incredibly just drenched in lore. The lore in this game goes so deep, and I recommend you read up on it. But starting with this, we have 4 different paintings. We can go and check them out, and they'll give us a bit of lore on what exactly the situation is here. So we'll start with this one right here. I'm not going to read them out loud. I'll just mute my microphone and I'll let you guys read them yourselves. That's all the lore we have access to now. Obviously throughout the game we'll get more, but this game's lore goes incredibly deep, and I do recommend you go through it. So we're going to close the lore guide, and that's all we're really going to do for the rest of this episode. So when we start a new game, we'll do that next time, because for right now, we're going to leave the training room. And at any time you can re-access this tutorial from the pause button. I said mutton. Wow, I'm an idiot. So with that being it, this episode is going to end, and the next episode will begin the true story of Final Fantasy 15.